actually used to be divided into two services, the home service and the light program. And the light program carried anything which was, in fact, like you, anything that was light and airy and cheerful and lovely. And all the grim stuff went over on the home service. Well, what I did was pretty grim. Maybe it belonged on the home service. But it was my first ever broadcast. I was 18 years of age. I was wearing an RAF uniform, and I auditioned for the BBC, and the producer, Bill Worsby, said, right, I'm going to use you. You come to Leicester, and this is where you come to. The factory is putting on its own talent, and you are the professional compere. And Martin, you should have seen me. I turned up in a drape-shaped zoot suit, some awful American suit with a kipper tie, hand-painted, a snap-brim fedora, which I thought was what comedians wore, a brothel creeper's two-tone shoes, and a line of patter about I wouldn't say my girlfriend was ugly, but I was supposed to be a very smooth, sharp-looking guy who'd come on to tell some jokes. And I think, in fact, the Leicester audience sussed me out and decided I was definitely a yo-yo and ignored me for most of the time as best they could.
Can you remember when that was?
That was 1947.
Is there anything that you haven't done in the years since then?
Are you speaking of anatomical peculiarities or private habits that I don't wish to discuss on the radio? There's a lot of things I haven't done, Martin. I would love to make a silent comedy, and I have a love for silent movies and one of the largest private collections of silent comedy in the world. I've been assembling it ever since that date in Leicester all those years ago. In fact, I used to come up to Leicester to a guy, Bob Sarson, who may still be running his photographic outfit, had a super shop up there and used to rent out 16mm films, and I got a lot of good stuff from him. Leicester's always been a good stamping ground for me, and that's another thing that's left for me to do. I would love to come back to Leicester and play in cabaret there, because there used to be some smashes. Bailey's was one of my favorites. I actually had my cabaret act filmed by Thames Television at Bailey's, because I said it's the best cabaret venue in Britain. And they came there and filmed it. Also, in those early days, you were writing an awful lot. Do you still find time to write sketches and comedy routines for people? Well, yes, I do. I usually work with other people now, because I find the workload's better if I can spread it. And I don't like taking jobs away from writers anyway. So I usually bring in someone to work with me. On a show like Bob's Full House, usually, for example, that's the game show I do on Saturdays for BBC One, there's usually a little opening patter bit, which is a kind of a movable feast. It goes if the game runs long, it stays if the game runs short. And that I usually write with a friend of mine called Colin Edmonds. There's quite a lot of jokes planted throughout that show. Apart from the ad-libbing, there's one or two actually planted. Those I write together with either John Junkin or Colin Edmonds. The show I'm currently doing, the Bob Says Opportunity Knocks, there are gags which are apposite, little verbal gags apposite to the business of auditions and show business, which I write together again with John and Colin.
As always, if you enjoyed this interview, please click on the like button, ring that notification bell so that you don't miss out in the future, and if you possibly can, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you.